Welcome back to the Comstock channel. My name is Brianne Hendrickson. Today I have Matthew Cruz with us to talk about Brazil. Welcome.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing good.
You guys finish all your harvest? Are y'all done? Completely done?
Yeah, we got done. We finished our beans probably a couple weeks ago, and probably our corn last week. And so I know there's talked to somebody, one of our neighbors that had a couple days ago. He still had 3 more days to go yet. He was kind of fighting the rain, but everything's out. I drove through central Iowa yesterday, actually, a good part of central Iowa, and you didn't see anything left. So yeah, I think the state's pretty much wrapping things up. We got things warming up a little bit, getting into the 50s here, into the weekend, and so that'll help melt off some of that snow that we had, because we got a couple inches of snow over the weekend. So
Oh, goodness.
yeah.
So let's talk about, while we're talking about weather, let's talk about what's kind of happening in Brazil and where the crops are down there and what you're kind of seeing.
Well, yeah, as harvest is wrapping up here, I think a lot of the trading focus is going to look at what's going on in Brazil as their 23-24 crop season is beginning. They're already pretty much halfway done with their soybean planting season. In places like in the center west region, like Mato Grosso, they're kind of leading the way. They're over 80%. Probably nearing in on 90%. So I've already talked to some producers down there that are already been done for a week or more, and then there are some people that aren't yet halfway done. So it's kind of all over the spectrum a little bit, but overall, nationwide, the country's at the halfway point here as we get into November. So it's above there. It's not as fast as what it was last year. And honestly, in the last week, it's kind of slowed down a little bit just because it's been so dry in a lot of that Mato Grosso region. But it's still within its 5-year average, and so it isn't anything kind of out of the ordinary, I would say. But it was noticeable that the planting progress slowed down last week a little bit. So, overall, you're still seeing that same weather pattern that we've been talking about the last couple weeks or more. That's predominantly dry in the north and very, very wet in the south, and to the point where you're starting to see some private analysts begin to talk about a potential reduction in the crop size already. I think it might be a little bit premature to discuss that, in my opinion, but I think if this goes on for just another couple of weeks, if we get to November 15th maybe, and we're still in the same situation and the rain pattern isn't changing, then I think it starts to become real, and we need to talk about some reductions in their soybean production. But it's interesting how in southern Brazil it's the exact opposite of what's going on in the north, where they're getting too much rain. And there are regions in Paraná where they've already for the season, and they're pretty much in probably their early May right now, which what would be for us. They've gotten close to 40 inches of rain. So it's crazy. There's gotten way too much rain. It's massive flooding to the point where they probably had yield loss from there as well, especially on some of their first crop corn, because they're not able to apply their nitrogen. So there's reports of a lot of yellowing corn down there. And so you have southern Brazil, it's getting way too much rain where it's hurting yields. And then you have other regions to the north where they're not getting enough. And so it's not a real great start, but it's still early. There's still time for things to turn around. But yeah, that's kind of in general, that's where they're at right now.
So what are they telling you about their crop, the farmers telling you about their crop?
I've talked to a couple different farmers down there. One particular more negative guy described it as ugly right now. That's the word he used, was ugly. And he even sent me a picture of the crop there that we could show. And so it's I think that the crop is in a lot of areas is could be described as stressed. It's maybe not going backwards, but it's not progressing either. It's waiting for a rain, and And I think those that recently planted, they'll probably be able to hang on until the next rain. But those that planted earlier, in early October or late September, I think there are a lot of reports of replanting. And so that's what we're hearing more, that, yeah, there are going to be some replanting taking place. We don't know quite yet how much. I don't even know if the Brazilian farmers quite know how much they're going to have to replant. They're just kind of taking it day by day. It's that critical right now. They're getting scattered showers. It's not like they're getting nothing, but it's just really hit and miss. And so, one guy said, well, we get a couple tenths, which sort of helps, but when it's as hot and dry as it is, I mean, there's you're talking high 90 degrees. There's been some days where it's in the hundreds, and there's another I think graph where we show the heat map a little bit of the temperature ranges in Brazil. When it gets up in those levels, it just evaporates that soil moisture right away, and so there's, even though you're getting some spotty rain, some scattered showers, you're still having a net moisture loss in the soil, and so you're still going backward. But this one farm I talked to, they were a large operation. They planted 50,000 acres, and on this one property that they own, and they didn't think they were going to have any replanting, but they said that the crop is hurting, and they needed rain soon, is the way they put it. So that's kind of where they're at. It's just they're just, as time goes along, the chances are they're going to get a rain, but at this point, a quarter inch isn't going to do it. It maybe stops it from dying, but they need a general soaking rain of 2, 3, 4 inches right now, and there's just not a lot of that on the horizon. If you look at the longer term weather model, now this is like a 3-month model that I think the University of Columbia puts together, and it kind of shows the same thing, that looking out into early next year in January, they're still seeing a same type of weather pattern of dry to the north, wet to the south. And so that's going to continue to put pressure on the market. I think the soybean market especially is keenly aware of this. I don't think there's too much weather premium in what's going down there yet, but I think that and again, those 3-month models aren't as accurate and precise as obviously some of the shorter term ones are, but but that's something that they came out with. They're looking out 3 months ahead and say, this is what we see.
So talking about low water and everything, we've seen reports about low water tables in the Amazon. What does this mean for their exports, and is that a good thing for us U.S. farmers?
Yeah, so it's interesting that the Mississippi River water levels have been dropping, up till recently. Now they're actually starting to come back up with this rain that we've got in the last couple of weeks, and kind of the opposite has happened in Brazil, where the water tables in the Amazon basin, a lot of the tributaries have been dropping to record lows, and that's a consequence of that. Happens to a certain extent every year in their dry season, but it's gotten even exceedingly worse this year because it's taking longer for the rainy season to begin. And so now that used to not be such a big deal, right? Because historically Brazil or Mato Grosso, that center west region, exported all their grain to the south. But now in the last 10 years, there's been a big push to begin exporting into the Amazon river basin and a lot of those tributaries, to the point where now, a third of the grain produced in those regions is exported out through those tributaries, to the point where they're dependent on it now. And so it's probably not going to reduce the overall export numbers, but it does make it more expensive for them to ship out that grain, to the point where it makes them less competitive, I think. And so it is probably a good thing, of course, for U.S. producers, because we want to be competitive with Brazil. And so, but it's probably going to last for another couple months, but eventually the rainy season picks up, the water tables will come back, similar to what's happened in the Mississippi River. So But it's just interesting that, 10 years ago, this was not an issue. And now it has become one as the country in Brazil has become dependent and exporting more of their grain to the north.
All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Want more premium content? Subscribe to the Comstock Report, where you will receive 2 reports daily. Want more video content? We are on Facebook, YouTube, and now TikTok. So don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe.